Hello out there. Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's up, everyone? How are you all out there?
Ty and Charlene, once again, coming to you with the truth about cancer. We're so excited you're here. We've got a lot of comments. Hello, Mark Howdy from Chi-Town. Hello. And Shah, hello. John, hello from Canada. Hello. We've got Canadian friends. Carrie, hi, Carrie. Shane, hello. A lot of you saying hi. Hi, Mark. All right. We're so glad to have you back. It's been a little while since we just did a fun hangout Q&A with Ty and Charlene. So, honey, aren't you glad to be back?
Yeah, it's good to be back. I guess it's been a couple months since we've done one of these where we just get a chance to hang with you and answer your questions. So really looking forward to it. Hope y'all are doing well. I guess this is the first one of 2019 that we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
The first hangout. So
yeah. So what's your favorite part, honey, of this new year?
The favorite part, well, it's hard to believe that it's already February. Wow, the years just go by. I think, the older I get, the faster the years go by. So it's hard to believe that it's already mid-February.
Well, honey, the last webinar that we did do, there were some guesses that you were 75.
Oh, that's a great way to start this. That makes me feel really good.
That was totally a joke.
I know
they were joking. They were just joking. He's not a day over 33, so don't let them kid you. He's not 75.
Yeah, no, I do remember that though. That's something we were asking our age. I think it was. Yeah. I'm trying to think if that was it was a video that we did with Josh and Jordan, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were asking. So
that was funny. And speaking of which, yeah, that was the keto. We're actually, if you joined us for that keto challenge, wow, we have been doing the keto diet for a while now, right, honey? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel great. I've been doing keto since the 1st of January, so 6 weeks now, and yeah, I feel great. Probably dropped about 10 pounds doing it, and have been eating a lot of food. That's the thing about eating like a clean keto is you really can eat until you're full and never have been hungry, but probably lost about 10 pounds, and my energy is good. Been working out really more steadily than I have been probably in about the last 10 years. Been working out every night throughout the whole month of January.
Yeah, he's actually doing better than me in that regard. I'm always working, so I wish I had more time. I need to make the time to work out, but he has been so diligent to work out, and we've both been doing intermittent fasting too. In fact, for me, we were just here filming with our friends and before coming to you here live. And my first bite of food today was just maybe a half an hour ago. I had a few almonds. And then the crazy thing is doing ketogenic and the intermittent fasting, I find that I'm not always hungry. And those cravings that I had are like gone. I'm not dying for sugar because I'm like a super sugar bug. So getting off the sugar for me was really great. And I feel so much better, a lot of mental clarity. So that was a big win. So we want to hear from you on how you were doing. Looks like we've got some pretty long comments here. But if you did do the ketogenic diet, let us know, how that went for you and how you're feeling and how successful you've been.
Yeah, and we've got our little girls have been really faithful to make us snacks with keto-friendly things, avocados and.
Yeah. Honey, I've got to tell him. Oh, and you haven't tasted. Ty was out of town, and I want to tell you what he's been doing in a minute. Some fantastic stuff, of course, as usual. But Tabitha, our 12-year-old, with the help of our 8-year-old Charity, made us Hostess cupcakes. And of course, these aren't the cupcakes that you would get in the store with, all the sugar and everything else. These are a ketogenic version of that kind of cupcake. And I remember growing up, I actually liked that cupcake. Now, the ingredients are a little different today than they were back then. It was only a few years ago, like 3 years ago, right? So anyways, this cupcake had cream in the middle, and it was beautiful. It had the chocolate icing with the swirl white stuff on it. It was just a beautiful, well-done cupcake, but it was ketogenic. It didn't have the conventional grains, and it didn't have any sugar. The sweetener I think that they used was Swerve, and the chocolate icing on the top. The chocolate they used was chocolate made with stevia, and it's really delicious. But anyways, those were really good, and they've been making a lot of nice little ketogenic treats. So that gives the children an opportunity to get in the kitchen and have fun and cook. They're looking up these recipes, and they're doing a great job. So it's fun to get the children in the kitchen, understanding ingredients, reading labels, and making real food from real ingredients. And so it's much better to make our own cupcakes than go out and make and eat the prepackaged cupcakes. So
yeah, they're pretty tasty too. Pretty good stuff.
Oh yeah. So Cheryl, hi Cheryl. How long can you stay on keto? That's a great question, Ty.
Well, it really depends on what you're eating on the keto. I mean, if you're eating a clean keto diet that we've spoken about with Jordan and Josh over, the last month, we did a couple of webinars with them on the Keto 360 challenge. And if you're including lots of healthy fats and lots of herbs and plenty of vegetables, minimizing the protein, you can stay on keto indefinitely as long as you're feeling good. So there's really not a set and determined length of time that you should stay on keto and then come off. It really depends on what you're eating. I mean, if you're eating a keto diet that's not what we wouldn't call a clean keto, and you're eating, bacon, eggs, and cheese every meal, it's probably you're not probably feel too great on that for too long. But if you're eating something that's more vegetable based, and as far as getting plenty of your herbs and your vegetables in, you've still got the good healthy fats and moderate amounts of clean protein, there's no reason why you can't stay on it indefinitely as long as you're feeling
right. Good. And we learned from Jordan and Josh Axe that you can also add berries, the blueberries and strawberries that are lower in sugar. You're getting all that nutrition. So and putting herbs, grow your own herbs. And I love salads. So I have salads a couple of years ago in our garden, and it's just a nutty, delicious lettuce, and it's not carb laden. So I like to have that for the lettuce, and I like goat cheese and different things like that. And then doing your own dressing. Don't buy dressing, make your own. It's so simple. Just olive oil and a little bit of either red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar is ideal. It's very healthy. And then just put a little bit of sea salt, Himalayan salt in there with maybe some herbs. Load that salad with all kinds of herbs. So there's so many ways you can get sprouted seeds and all these things to really get that nutrition that you need. And then, of course, with Ancient Nutrition, we have the keto
the keto
powder,
fire, and the keto protein.
Yeah, so that's awesome. If you actually, if you're interested in that, if you go to TTAC, to truthaboutcancer.com, go to the products page. What we did, it's on that page, so you can check that out there. But we love it, and we feel great. So we got another question.
Yeah, next question.
Angela, I would like to know which is the best way to eat when you want to prevent cancer and feel terrific and stay completely healthy. Great question, Angela.
Yeah, that is a good question. And the reality is there's not one answer that would work for everyone. It's not a one size fits all. One of the things that we learned going across Asia this last summer is that there's dozens of different types of diets and treatment protocols that are being used to prevent cancer. I guess probably no better exemplified than when we were in Tokyo for our first country, the first of our 7 countries. And by the way, we're really excited about Eastern medicine coming out in April.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
In Tokyo, we literally did 2 consecutive interviews, one with a Japanese lady named Yuka, and she had been diagnosed with stage 4, quote, terminal cancer, and she went to a healthy ketogenic diet and completely reversed her cancer. Now she's healthy as can be. Literally 5 minutes later, we went right across the hall and did an interview with a Japanese lady named Yukiya, and Yukiya used the Gerson therapy to reverse her, quote, terminal cancer. So you have 2 ladies, both of them about the same age, and both of them with late stage, quote, terminal cancer, and they did completely different diets, and both of them worked. So I think the thing to remember when it comes to diets, when it comes to reversing cancer, is it's not a one size fits all, because we're all individuals. And so the key is really to be empowered with information about your options, and you can try something. I mean, I'm sure that we had people that went on the Keto 360 challenge with us, and they got in that and they're like, man, I love this. This is a diet. I'm going to do this for a long time. And then there's probably people that did it and said, you know what, I'll do this for a month, but not something I want to do long term, because it just affects people differently. And so it's a great question. And the answer is there's not really one answer. It depends on who you are and how it makes you feel. Like, I love doing the keto diet. It makes me feel great. I have sustained energy. I've seen good results with it. I feel better. I have more mental clarity. I have noticed a lot more mental clarity. And, when you get to be 75, like I am, you need the mental clarity. So I've got a lot more mental clarity than I used to have. It wasn't that I was like walking around in a fog or whatever, but I have noticed over the last 30 days, I really have, I'm a lot more sharp, remembering things, especially when we're going through these last few days. I just got back from a trip to Austin, and we were literally working 17-hour days straight in the editing room, getting this Eastern medicine finished out. And I was literally remembering little, like 2 or 3 words, snippets that somebody said in another episode, and remembering where they were and the timestamp, and it's stuff that I wouldn't have remembered. And so it really has helped me. But good question. There's no one size fits all, but do what makes you feel the best.
Yeah, I think I'll take a crack at it as well, just to add to what he's saying. We totally love telling people, don't get locked into one mindset. So what works for you? And that might take a couple different tries. You may want to try this kind of eating, that kind of eating, but across the board, universally, we would say eat clean, real food. And so number one, you need to get water, a good source of water. And we've talked about that, haven't we? In fact, soon we're going to be coming to you with more information about that kind of clean water. But just for everybody, find a good source of clean water and drink a lot of it. Some people don't even drink water. Their source of liquid is coffee all day long, or it's soda. If you're drinking coffee, that's fine. But for every cup of coffee, drink at least 2 big glasses of water so that you're hydrated. So lots and lots of water, no matter who you are, where you are. If you can get clean water, drink a whole bunch of that clean water. With food, when we were growing up, I don't think that there was genetically modified organisms in anything. GMOs are so destructive. You've got to just make a real effort to not get anything genetically modified. And now they're changing the labels from GMO to bioengineered. So they're changing the term. So that's another thing we're writing about and sharing with you, that you really have to understand. They realize that the GMOs is a big thing. People are waking up. So now they're changing those tags. If you can get to your local farmer and get some real food that's organic, that's a big win. Your local rancher, if you're going to eat meats, make sure it's from grass-fed animals that are free-ranging, they're happy animals, and they're not eating genetically modified food themselves, because if they are, then you're going to eat that too. Yeah. So just clean food all the way across the board. I would say get as close to nature as you can, right? So fruits and vegetables that are organic. And if you cook food, you want to make it from scratch at home, like our little girls are, right? Make the ingredients. You can have some French fries, and you can actually make them healthy. Get organic potatoes, cut them up, put coconut oil, some sea salt, whatever you want on there, and cook them in your oven. And that way you can enjoy French fries without killing yourself.
Yeah. And one of the doctors in Asia, in Singapore, he made a really telling quote. He said, eat for your body type, not for your religion. And so I think it's a good quote, because a lot of people might get involved with eating a certain way, and it almost becomes a religion to them, to where if you don't eat that way, that you're out of the flock. You're an outcast because you don't eat the same.
It's like a cultic mentality that if you don't do this, you're just not my friend anymore. And it's sad that that's going on. Honey, remember when we were just speaking up, where were we at? In
New York City?
Yes, we were in New York, Long Island, really nice place, a lot of great people. A really sweet woman came up to us and said, she was doing the Gerson, all vegan and all that kind of stuff. And she was going downhill, and she had a late stage cancer. And she said, her doctor said, look, there's nothing we can do. That's the missing link for you. So she said, I started eating meat and it just saved my life. And so for her, she had to have that meat. Situation, their history would not need that. And it's not a lot. She just needed enough to add whatever it was that her body was
probably B12 deficient
and needing.
Yeah, she's probably B12 deficient. A lot of people that are vegan are severely deficient in B. But great quote by Dr. Sundardas in Singapore: eat for your body type, not for your religion. Okay, we just had a question out there that was taken down, but let's put it back up. Oh, here's a shorter one. That's better because less to read, right?
Yeah. What does it say? Dave, is cancer in general most prevalent in the United States? Good question.
Yeah, the rates of cancer. I'm not sure what country has the highest rates of cancer. I think probably it's multifactorial, the reason that we're in the highest.
I like that word, multifactorial.
Multifactorial, yeah. It's a mathematics word.
He's Mr. Math. He's a numbers genius.
So I think there's many reasons for that. I don't mean to condescend to you. That means to talk down to. So, yeah, no, there's many reasons. Probably our diet's terrible compared to other countries. You know, one of the things we saw across the Asia and in the past across Europe, most countries eat healthier than we do. They eat more farm to table. They eat more vegetables and fruits.
Latvia, for example.
Yeah,
right?
and Latvia, prime example of that. So eat better food.
And another question comes in from Christina. My dad was diagnosed with high-grade pulmonary carcinoma. The doctors want to remove kidney and part of the bladder. When is surgery a good option?
Pulmonary? Oh, papillary. Okay, I said pulmonary would be lung cancer, but papillary. Personally, we would always shy away from surgery.
I think we're back on.
Give us a thumbs up or a love or a heart
Hi,
thing if you
can you hear us? Yay.
Oh, we do have sound.
All
Sweet.
right.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to answer the entirety of that question.
Yes.
Because I think it was Christina said her father had cancer. So Christina, your father has cancer on the kidney and they want to remove part of the kidney and part of the bladder. The problem with that is that from just our personal perspective on surgery is that your dad doesn't have kidney cancer or bladder cancer or doesn't have tumors on those organs because that is the problem. That's a symptom that there's something wrong in your dad's body. And the cancer is manifested on those organs. It could have manifested in other places. So cutting those organs out or cutting part of those organs out doesn't really correct the underlying imbalance. Not that surgery is not sometimes necessary, but in this situation, we personally would not get surgery to remove part of a kidney or an entire kidney or part of the bladder. We'd try to correct the underlying imbalance in the body and let the body do the healing. And a lot of times when you correct that underlying imbalance in the body and you start getting good nutrition in the body, good water, clean organic food, detoxify the body, detoxify the organs, the cancer will just revert. Okay, sometimes those cancer cells can revert back into normal cells, and sometimes the tumor will just shrink and it'll go away. That's one of the things that we saw in Asia when we were there. Is a lady was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was going to go in about 30 to 60 days later treatment, but in the meantime, she just changed her diet and started exercising and detox. All that, the long answer to say, surgery sometimes is necessary, but in this situation, because the underlying imbalance is still there. And so then later on, the cancer could come back in another organ unless you fix the root problem. Hope that helps. All right, we got another question. Jan, my sister had stomach cancer and had chemo and surgery. They removed 2/3 of her stomach. Who does that sound like, huh? Dad. And Mom.
Yeah.
The question is, what can she do to get her immune system back? It's a great question. That's an issue that both Mom and Dad faced. They both had cancer that had manifested in the stomach. I don't know if it was quote stomach cancer, if that was a primary cancer, but it was all over their stomachs. And so they cut out anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of their stomach, and they had issues from there on out. So that's a great question because it is really important at this point to get your immune system back. Some of the herbs, some of the supplements that we are aware of that are great for the immune system, probably the number one would be medicinal mushrooms. They're great for the immune system. And what's the mushroom product that we were just talking to Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin today about? Well,
that product actually is an adrenal support, and
but it's also for immune balancing.
Right. So there's a lot of different things you can take. The mushroom product is really good, but the hormone balance and all kinds of things like that. So
any kind of a turmeric that you can take. I know that at Ancient Nutrition they've got great turmeric products. And
probably soil-based organisms. I mean, that's a huge one.
Soil-based organisms is great for your immune too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the main thing is to begin taking things like that, and that's what we're going to be in just another couple weeks.
Yeah.
The daily essentials that we're going to be sharing with people.
Yeah.
And that's what our daily essentials that we'll be recommending to people are is soil-based organisms, because most of your immune system is generated in your gut, right? And so soil-based organisms are key.
Probiotics,
probiotics, right? Soil-based SBO probiotics. A turmeric, they have one type of turmeric here that has 5 different types of fermented turmeric in it. And so turmeric, the effect on the immune system, fantastic, great to modulate the immune system and control healthy inflammation levels. And then the third one would be the medicinal mushroom / adrenal products. So it's got adaptogens that help you to deal with stress, And we know that stress lowers your immune function, but also the medicinal mushrooms in it. And all across Asia, the doctors are using medicinal mushrooms, whether it's reishi, they call it linji in Asia, reishi, maitake, shiitake, lion's mane, cordyceps, chaga, all these different types of medicinal mushrooms are great for the immune system.
Yes. And now we have Timothy. I'm going back to MD Anderson this week for MRIs just to make sure everything I'm doing is working. What do the enhanced MRI liquid they shoot into you do to the human body? And thank you.
Timothy, good question. I'm not really sure what's in that liquid that they shoot into you for an advanced MRI, so not going to be able to comment on that.
I think it's something akin to shellfish and iodine. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know what
CAT scan, but
on a PET scan they inject radiated sugar so that the sugar will show up on a PET scan, but I'm not sure on the MRI, unfortunately. Sorry about that, Timothy.
But you know what I'd love to say right now is one of the things we're doing behind the scenes. I just want to fill you in, give you a little sneak peek on what is to come. We are working really hard. We had a membership to a newsletter to be able to continue to do the amazing work that we're able to do. We just feel so blessed by God to have this platform. The Truth About Cancer Insiders membership. We're not going to just have the newsletter, but we're also going to have fireside chats like this, right, with you and just the ones that are inside that membership. We're going to have an exclusive group. You can get in there and get advice or just say, hey, I'm dealing with this. We're going to be in there with you. We're going to come to you with pre-recorded videos with our friends, the experts, people that you love, like Paul Bertiero perhaps, or Josh and Jordan Rubin, or just so many friends we've got. I mean, we've got a whole lot of amazing people that
we've got over 100 doctors over the last few years that we've interviewed. And so we're going to start bringing you, exclusive interviews
that
with
no
those
one,
doctors.
that no one's going to see. It's not going to be on our Facebook or our YouTube, and it's not going to be anywhere but inside this membership. So it's going to be an exclusive area for you to have access to us, to our friends, and it's going to be just a lot of awesomeness. So keep your eyes peeled for what's to come. And also, too, I think that our team has put together a poll on what is it that you would like to see. If we have a paid membership site, you guys are going to support us. And another question, Amy, I had thyroid cancer. Is it possible to heal the body after radioactive iodine treatment?
Yeah, great question, Amy. Yeah, absolutely is possible. The radioactive iodine is what they typically are going to prescribe for you with thyroid cancer. After that, what you need to do is start supplementing with a really good quality iodine. And so, we recommend the Dr. Group's iodine. Yeah. The Detoxidine with Dr. Edward Group. It's the only organic iodine that's available on the market. It's nascent iodine, very absorbable by your thyroid gland. So the key is now that you've undergone the treatment is to get the healthy iodine into your thyroid and keep it into your thyroid on a regular basis.
Absolutely. We have that iodine on our website, on our products page. And team, if you can get them that link, that's like, we take that every day. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to go a day without taking some of that stuff. That's like the best. It's organic. Yeah. It's awesome. And if somebody else is selling something, it's probably sourced from Dr. Group that's organic iodine. Dr.
Group has he manufactures the only organic iodine on the market. So anybody else that's selling it gets it from him. Yeah. And one of the things that I remember, I think it was in Bangkok, one of the doctors said that he believes, very much like we've heard that cancer is a deficiency in other nutrients, like vitamin B17, for instance. He believes that cancer is also a deficiency in iodine. Mm-hmm. And so he believes that regular supplementation with iodine can have a huge impact on reversing and preventing cancer. So, and we're all deficient in iodine. Right. I think it's like 96% of the population has low iodine levels. And without enough iodine, you are going to have issues with your thyroid. And you may have more of a susceptibility for cancer.
Absolutely. And we're not getting iodine in our modern diet. I mean, food has dramatically changed in the last generation or two to where, our grandparents and great-grandparents were getting real food, and they're from the gardens, even the dirt, the soil-based organisms on the food. They were just getting a high dose of nutrition with every bite of food. Today, we're getting a high dose of poison if we're not careful with every bite of food. Yeah. So iodine supplementation is so important.
Yeah, it is. And one of the reasons it's important as well is that iodide and fluoride are both halogens. They're considered halogens on the periodic table. So they have very similar atomic mass and very similar uptakeability. Was that a word? Where your body makes them up, okay, for each other. And so if we're drinking water, for instance, that's heavily fluoridated, but you're not getting a good supplementation of iodine, your iodine receptors in your body will actually uptake the fluoride and it will look at it as if it is iodine when it's not, because they're very similar size. And so that's something that's a real problem today with people drinking out of these municipal water supplies that are heavily fluoridated. You can literally have a fluoridated thyroid, that the thyroid is uptaking the fluoride thinking that it's iodine, but it's really not, cause a whole host of issues. And fluoride's been linked to cancer.
Absolutely.
There was a 2007 study that linked fluoride to bone cancer in young boys.
How sad. And then fluoride also gets in your pineal gland, and it wreaks havoc in your body. And they say it's good for your teeth, but it's actually been shown to crumble your teeth. It's so damaging to your teeth. So.
Well, yeah, and then the problem, since we're talking about fluoride, is that they do like a bait and switch on you. So calcium fluoride's good. It's a naturally occurring form of fluoride. But the fluoride that we get in the water and that they put in the toothpastes is not calcium fluoride. It's sodium fluoride, or it's hydrofluorosilicic acid, and totally different. But since there's that fluoride in the name, we're told that they're the same thing, and they're really not. And so that's the issue, is that we're not talking about naturally occurring calcium fluoride.
Do you want to give them a little history lesson, honey, on fluoride, where it came from and what idea was hatched and where all the story behind that?
Yeah, so real quickly, it was Alcoa in Pittsburgh. Hydrofluorosilicic acid was being produced as a waste byproduct in the aluminum manufacturing process. This is in the early 40s, and they were having to pay to dispose of their toxic waste in a toxic waste dump. They were literally paying per pound of this waste. So they devised a plan to convince the public that it was actually good for your teeth if you dripped it into the water supplies. The plan was actually coordinated by Edwin Bernays, who wrote a book called Propaganda. Edwin Bernays, by the way, was Sigmund Freud's nephew. And in the book Propaganda, he shared his techniques of how to brainwash the masses. And that's exactly what happened over the next 10 or so years, that they ran this propaganda campaign. They got all the dentists on board to just say fluoride at 1 part per million in the water is good to protect your teeth from cavities. There were no studies. The only populations that they studied were actually populations that were exposed to calcium fluoride, which is not sodium fluoride. So it was totally illegitimate, but they repeated it long enough and loud enough, and within a decade or so, by the late 40s, early 50s, it was gospel truth. It was common knowledge that fluoride was good for your teeth to protect you from cavities, and then now over 75% of the water supply, the municipal water supply in the United States is it's got fluoride being dripped into it, and it's a toxic byproduct of either the phosphate industry or the aluminum manufacturing industry. And so Alcoa they were a smashing success. Instead of having to pay to dispose of their toxic waste, they sold it to the water supply systems, the municipalities, and got paid to send them toxic waste.
And to the toothpaste companies.
And the toothpaste companies and so
on it goes. It's, I grew up in Pittsburgh, close to Pittsburgh, and I love Pittsburgh for many reasons. But I remember growing up seeing those smokestacks. They were everywhere. Wheeling, Pittsburgh, Steubenville, steel, the steel town. Those smokestacks, what was coming out was toxic. And the top of those smokestacks, they literally scrape off that waste. And that's what they're dripping into our water. And it's shocking that people still believe that with all the information now that's out there. And I actually have people that are very close to us, that still think we are crazy because we think that fluoride is toxic, when in reality, we've done years of research and we've read the studies and we understand the composition and all of what Ty just said. And the people that are saying that, I don't think they've spent a minute researching and believing something they've been researched. And that's why what you're doing is so important, to support what we're doing, because we really are changing the world together. And we couldn't do this. I mean, we're researching, we make documentaries, we write books, we recommend things that we believe in, but we couldn't reach the world without you. So thank you for supporting us. If you haven't already, We've got a big Facebook page, a lot of fun things going on there. So The Truth About Cancer, get on that Facebook page, give us a like and follow us, and share our posts with your friends. Visit our website, thetruthaboutcancer.com, filled with great content articles. You don't want to miss a thing. We're coming out with breaking news articles all the time, at least twice a week. Really fun stuff going there. And we want you to we just encourage you to join it, share. And if you haven't, sign up for our free emails. They're free. And you won't miss a thing if you're on our email list. So go to thetruthaboutcancer.com. At the top, there's a big banner. Just put in your email, and we're going to start sending you those free emails. And so there's that, right?
There's that.
There's that. All right.
So Dave has a question on cannabidiol, which is a great question. Does it have any effect on cancer, specifically, I think, prostate cancer, right? Yeah, prostate cancer. So great question, Dave. Cannabidiol is one of many different cannabinoids that are in the cannabis plant. And yeah, it's been shown to be effective at preventing and even reversing certain types of cancer, prostate cancer being one of many. But I think the issue that we have today with cannabidiol is that's one of the many cannabinoids that are legal. But the DEA has said that the cannabis plant overall is illegal, though, because it can have higher levels of THC, which is the psychoactive one that will get you high. So now we're trying to isolate the CBD, the cannabidiol, or the CBG, and there's a lot of other cannabinoids in the plant, and just sell those because they can't have the THC because it's not approved by the DEA. And the issue is when you take certain constituents out of a plant instead of using the whole plant, that it won't work quite as well as the whole plant together. So all of the cannabinoids have been shown to be effective. Most of the studies on cannabis have actually been done on cannabis with higher levels of THC, which is the psychoactive component, as I just mentioned. So has cannabidiol been shown to be effective at cancer? Yes, but not as effective as the whole plant when you have the THC in there with it, because you need the whole plant. That's the way God made it. So for now, if you're living in a state that doesn't have medical or recreational cannabis, then you might have to settle for the CBD oil, which is good. But if you get access to the entire plant, it's even better.
Absolutely. Good explanation.
Thank
as
you.
usual. He's really good at breaking it down for us and helping us to understand the truth that then sets us free. That's what we do every day. We lost a lot of family due to not having that truth. We've done the research, and now we have the joy of not only giving it to you, but meeting you at various places and finding out that you've learned the truth and now you're healthy and happy. Carrie, what do you recommend instead of a mammogram after a breast cancer diagnosis? Good question, Carrie. Thermography is a great diagnostic tool, but if it's after you've had breast cancer, perhaps you're thinking how to monitor after you successfully treat that. So that would be thermography. Thermography is a test that's non-invasive. Mammograms, I cannot believe that we actually do this. They cause cancer. They take your breast and smush it. If you did have a tumor, you have a potential break in that tumor with the pressure that's coming down. And then you've got the radiation. Those are cancer causers. So definitely run from the mammograms. With thermography, it's just a non-invasive test where they blow cold air over your skin, and the pictures that they take of your body can detect the warm spots. So when you get that cold air, a normal cell will cool down quickly. The cancer cell, not so much. So they'll be able to see those hot spots, and they can detect cancer far sooner than a mammogram can as well. So it's far superior. This is the test that they should be using to monitor and diagnose breast cancer and surface cancers. But of course, it's highly effective, and it's not I think a high generation of their profits. So
yeah,
thermography.
And thermography actually will diagnose years earlier.
Yeah.
Than a mammogram. So
yes.
it's a better test and much less expensive. They're not those that are recommended are not necessarily the ones that work the best. They're the ones that make the most money for the industry, and that's the conflict of interest. Unfortunately, when we were I bet
you're going to say what I'm thinking.
In Bangkok, interviewing the Indian doctors, one of the doctors talked about how The Indian doctors even they're bought off by the pharmaceutical companies. They're made employees of the company, and so then they can pay them to prescribe the chemotherapy. And there's a lot of kickbacks going back and forth. And it's just it's not just common in the United States with cancer treatments. Kind of a lot of under the table dealings in India as well. The doctors are basically bought off to prescribe.
But then there are countries that Ty encountered in Asia. You know, before I even get into that, I just wanted to mention, if you haven't heard and you don't know, right now we're behind the scenes wrapping up probably the biggest project. Yeah, we've been at this all day. We've been filming and stuff, a lot of it around Eastern medicine. So we've got something coming out, The Truth About Cancer Presents Eastern Medicine. A lot of fantastic awesomeness is getting ready to be unleashed, coming your way and around the world. So be looking for that. I just watched some of the clips we put together, and Ty has been working just around the clock, and that's why he's yawning. He's working hard.
I just came back from 5 straight days in Austin in the editing room.
Yeah.
And
oh wow,
we're talking about like 17-hour days straight just editing, and it's looking good.
Oh, it's looking great. It's and you know, I'm really proud of what we've been able to produce thus far. I think that we've done a pretty good job with a lot of great help. But this Eastern medicine is a game changer. It's so phenomenal. The doctors are doing such great things. A lot of the doctors in Asia, they don't make a lot of money, but they're bringing the world-class treatments to their people, and they love us. They've watched what we do from afar, and it was really a pleasure for Ty to get to shake their hands and hug them and talk to them. And the footage we got of Asia too is phenomenal. It's just beautiful. This is something that you would see on the History Channel or National Geographic, or the Travel Channel. Just beautiful footage, drones flying over and getting the buildings and
the only time
cities.
that we got stopped was in Singapore with Bryce's drone. We had to register Bryce's drone. Yes. So it's funny, you know, we had all 7 of us traveling from Japan to Taiwan to Philippines to Singapore to Malaysia to Thailand, and the only country we got stopped in literally was Singapore. And like when you go through customs, I don't know if you've traveled internationally, a lot of times if you look suspicious or just anything out of the ordinary, they're going to send you through and they're going to pat you down. They're going to x-ray all your bags, and it's going to be a hassle to get through customs. Well, we have 7 guys carrying huge amounts, bags, camera, lighting, all this camera equipment. We never got stopped in Japan, not in Taiwan, not in Philippines, not in Malaysia, not in Thailand, only in Singapore. And the only reason we got stopped there is that apparently they ran Bryce's bag through the x-ray machine and they saw the drone that we shot a lot of the footage with. And see, in Singapore, you have to register the drone with the police. So we registered the drone with the police and they let us on our way. So it's really amazing how smooth the trip went with all of us carrying all this equipment.
Well, you know, honey, I would say that was divine providence.
It was.
I mean, God's hand was all over everything. Literally, Ty would call me and say, wow, honey, you know, we've got monsoons coming, but it was like God parted it so that we could film today, because we wouldn't have gotten this footage today if it weren't for that monsoon being held off. And that would happen just every day. There were tremendous, amazing things happening, just showing us, you know, God's hand is with us. Yeah. You know, we're bringing the world the truth, and that's what God wants. You know, he wants you to know the truth that sets you free. And we're just his vessels, his little clay in his hand. So it's like I'm a piece of putty. Play-Doh. Is that a new question?
Yes. Susan says, what if your water is fluoridated? What can you do to counteract the effects? I've switched to making my own now, but is it enough? Yeah, I mean, so if your water's fluoridated, there's lots of good filters out there, the whole house filters that you can use that will take the fluoride out. So I guess that's the question.
And you know, for drinking water, we use Echo Water Machine. Yeah. If you go to truthaboutcancer.com, hit the products page, on there you'll see the Echo Machine. That's the one we use, Echo H2. That'll take the fluoride and everything else out that you want. It's a great machine. We've got one in our house and one out back, an extra house out back. We that's what we drink. Yeah. And then we have a whole house filter too. And I think you could Google that and find one, but that way when you're taking a shower, you're not getting the fluoride and the chlorine, because it can get into your skin still. It's worth the investment to get a whole house filter that filters out the fluoride.
And so when we do have that for our entire house, so because even though we live way out in the country in Tennessee, we're still on a municipal water supply.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy that sounds. So, and they do fluoridate the water, so we have a whole house filter. And another thing that we just learned recently about the Echo H2 machine that we use for our drinking water, which creates the molecular hydrogen, is that they sent it, and Jeffrey Smith and his team tested it, and it actually takes out glyphosate.
Oh yeah, that's
water.
A big one.
And that's a huge one because the glyphosate's just ubiquitous now. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is terrible.
That's a big one. All right, next question, sweetie. You want to read that one?
Okay, Bobby. Hi, Bobby. Where and when is the TTAC conference? What is the cost? That's a good question. We're still ironing out those details, but we are coming to you in October. And we're going to have that. We announced it on one of our last webinars in LA, Anaheim. That's where it's happening. So October 10th through the 12th. We're pretty excited. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers. We're not going to tell you who yet, but you stay tuned. You're not going to believe it, who we're bringing to you live on the stage where you can meet these people, shake their hands, give them a hug. I mean, the lineup is incredible. And we always, so blessed to have such great speakers, heroes on our stage with us, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's coming. Prices to be determined. There's a lot of different ideas we have and a lot of fun coming your way. So Bobby, we hope to hear more from you, and we hope to meet you. And if we do, Bobby, you're going to say, hey, remember that webinar? I asked you about the live event. Here I am. So we'll be glad to meet you, Bobby.
Yeah, and we missed last year, so we took off 2018. So this will be the first live event that we've had since 2017.
Yeah, pretty excited about that live event.
We're pumped about it, and we don't know the cost yet, but it's going to be a lot less than last year. This will be the least expensive ticket price that we've ever had for a live event, and we're really excited about that.
And we'll have some different packages, and so we'll come to you with all of that stuff. But we're pretty excited. Right after Easter Medicine, I'm going to be working really hard. I've already gone out there, talked to the chef. The food is all going to be GMO-free, organic. The chef is actually a cancer patient, so he loves what we do and he understands good food. So they said that the menu, while we're there, anything you order in that restaurant is just going to be organic, GMO free. That is such a win. I'm so excited about that. So we're working to get you the best food during that live event.
That was our second choice, actually. We tried to work out a deal with McDonald's, but we couldn't do it.
No.
Just kidding, of course.
He's totally joking.
Yeah, that is a huge deal, because not just the food that we're going to have, catered there for the special events, but literally the food in the restaurants within the hotel, it's going to be all organic,
that main restaurant right there, and it's a great setup. So we're excited, and we did miss the live event this year, but in retrospect, we see God's wisdom and stopping for a year. We had so much going on during that time that there's no way we could have pulled that off, but we're so ready for 2019.
We're ready
live.
for Anaheim 2019 in October.
So all of you out there, stay tuned, and we hope that all of you get to come and be there with us. So let's see, another Angela. What effect does colloidal silver and colloidal gold have on cancer?
Well, there's no effect that it has on cancer, but you have to say that, right? You can't say that these substances have any effect on cancer if you sell them. We don't sell them. So I can tell you this, they've done studies on silver and silver nanoparticles and shown that it is not only an effective antibiotic, better than a normal antibiotic, because it's not an antibiotic, because an antibiotic means anti-life, right? Antibios, which means it kills all of your good bacteria. The silver is a natural, it kills bad pathogens in your body, but not your good flora. It doesn't kill your good bacteria. So it's a selectively toxic substance to kill pathogens. Silver is the best when it comes to that. And there's different brands, and won't get into the different brands, but nanoparticle silver is the way to go. The same with gold, right? These are ways to naturally combat bacterial infections, fungal infections, microbial infections. But then what effect do they have on cancer? Here's an interesting tidbit that our good buddy Robert Scott Bell shares whenever he lectures. There was an article that was run in the USA Today. It was about 10 years ago, if I remember correctly. And it said, warning, colloidal silver kills epithelial cells, right? Then that's the cells in your gut. And it was like a front page article in a major newspaper. And I think it was USA Today, but I'm not positive. And it was like, stay away from colloidal silver because it'll kill your stomach cells, right? It'll destroy your body. But what they left out was that it had been shown in the study to kill epithelial cancer cells. They left out the cancer in the headline. So there was nothing to be afraid of. It was selectively toxic towards cancer cells, didn't kill any other normal cells, but I guess they just forgot, honey. It was an accident.
I'm sure
right?
that was innocent.
It was just an innocent mistake. So people were terrified of colloidal silver after they had read this headline. But when you read in the article, it's actually selectively toxic to kill epithelial cancer cells. So not making any claims about curing cancer with colloidal silver, but the studies have shown that it actually can be selectively toxic towards cancer cells.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. So we got another question there.
Next question by Leslie. Hello, I'm 2 years into my cancer healing journey with breast cancer. Great. I've only been doing holistic treatment, including clean diet. Tumors have stopped growing and blood markers are down in the low end of normal. Excellent. Should I be concerned that the tumors are not shrinking? Is it ever okay to just live with the tumors or should they be going away? That's a great question, Leslie. And you know what? If your markers are down, you feel great, there is no reason why you can't live with tumors for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. They're not causing any harm. See, we've been brainwashed into fearing a tumor, into thinking that, oh, we've got to get rid of the tumor. The tumor, if it's not shrinking and the markers are down and the tumors have stabilized, that's your body, that's your own self-protection mechanism walling off these cancer cells into a tumor. Before, I remember this was something that one of the doctors in Japan shared, is that they used to do autopsies on, Japanese centenarians, like the people that had lived 100+ years. And almost across the board, when they do these autopsies on these Japanese people that died at like 103 years old, they find that they had a dozen cancerous tumors in their body. But it never affected them. It never affected their quality of life. They didn't even know they had cancer because they lived with cancer and the cancer was controlled because of their lifestyle. It sounds like exactly what you're doing, Leslie. You're eating right. You're probably taking supplements that help to modulate your immune system. You're exercising, you're detoxifying, whatever it is. So these are people that just lived a very healthy lifestyle and lived past 100 that had cancer, didn't even know it. And so the problem a lot of times arises when we fear these tumors and we get in there, we try to cut them out, and then that spreads the cancer.
Right.
If your tumors are if they're not growing and you're living with them and you have a high quality life, there's no reason to do anything other than what you're doing right now. Just keep it up.
I remember there was a spot in a Global Quest where one of the doctors, a female doctor, said, you can live many years with cancer. These toxic treatments that are ending our lives far too soon, they're not dying from the cancer, it's a treatment. So if you live healthy like you're living, you can live many years. And evidently the Japanese at 100+ years old with cancerous tumors, that's, I guess, living proof right there. High
quality of life, and you can see videos of these 90+ year old people in Asian countries. They're very active. They're out walking, having fun. They're not in their walker. They're not in a wheelchair. They look like they may be in their 60s and they're almost 100.
Wow.
So good quality of life.
Different lifestyle in Asia. Yeah.
Leslie.
Have either of you heard of GC-MAF? Yes. Yes.
No, never heard of it. Just kidding. Yeah, we covered GC-MAF in the Global Quest. And there's several doctors on this, the Eastern Medicine that we're going to release that cover GC-MAF. GC-MAF stands for glycoprotein macrophage activating factor. And
I thought you said you never heard of that. Where'd that come from?
Oh, yeah, I just remembered.
Okay.
So, and what this is, it's a protein that stimulates your macrophages. Macrophages are the pac-men of the immune system. They gobble up cancer cells. And what GC-MAF does is it makes your macrophages work more efficiently and more effectively to phagocytose, which means to eat the cells, to eat the cancer cells. So they eat those cancer cells, and that's what macrophages do. And GC-MAF is a substance that can be used. I don't know that you can get it in the United States anymore.
Where to get it? It's you can't, even in Europe you can't get it.
Yeah, you used to get it in Europe. They shut it down. They shut down the plant. There's places you can get it, and there's places in the United States you can still get it.
You got connections.
Well, I'm not going to say it on the webinar. But there are places that you can go, and we could answer a private email. If you want to send us a private email, we'll do that. But I don't want to expose these places that are there, because a lot of them are like people that you'd have to go to their Facebook and ask them about it, and they can get it for you. So I don't want to mention that, but you can get it. It's much more difficult now, which is absurd, right? It's a natural protein that activates your macrophages, but the FDA doesn't want to give you access to that. So
it was always also linked to helping children with autism.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's what Dr. Jeff Bradstreet was investigating about 3 or 4 years ago when he committed suicide, right?
Back in
but he was studying GC-MAF when it comes to autism, and they found really positive results of GC-MAF helping autistic children to reverse the autism and become more highly cognitively functional. And Dr. Bradstreet, unfortunately, was suicided.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think it's because of that work on GC-MAF.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one clear-cut case, I think, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Vicki, how do we do a coffee enema safely to make sure we are not dehydrated? How often should we do it?
It's a great question, Vicki. Number one, the coffee enemas are a great way to detoxify the liver. They're doing them all across Asia. We learned a lot about more about coffee enemas, but we'd already known about that. That's one of the staples of the Gerson therapy. One of the staples of the Gonzalez protocol is the coffee enemas to detoxify the liver. It's not, Folgers or Taster's Choice. It's a special kind of lightly roasted coffee bean that you would use that helps to detoxify the liver.
Organic, of course.
Organic, of course, yeah. So how often do you do it? I mean,
there are some people on the Gerson therapy. Don't they do that twice a day?
3 times.
Like, 3 times a day.
Typically 3 times a day.
And some people do it once a day. You could do it a couple times a week. It's up to you and your discretion. Maybe you have a natural doctor around that you can talk to that's knowledgeable about this to perhaps put together a program that's right for you and your body. Yeah. That's what I would recommend.
Some people swear by them. They say they feel great after doing a coffee enema. So it just depends on how you feel. And as far as the question on not be dehydrated, just drink plenty of water. The coffee enema is not necessarily going to dehydrate you. It's not like taking a diuretic that makes you urinate all the time. It's what it does is it detoxifies the liver and causes the liver to produce more bile. But it's not going to necessarily dehydrate you.
And the thing is, with the Gerson therapy or even juice fasting, I know Sherry Cabone has been so good at sharing her testimony and others about that. She calls the phytochemicals in the juice that you're drinking like heavenly scissors. It literally cuts the blood supply off to the tumor and it pulls that tumor off of your body. And she's actually expelled a cancerous tumor from her body, which is tremendous. She was looking at it when she expelled that, and she's got testimonies of others that have done the same. But when you're breaking down cancer in your body, it's going somewhere. All this debris, it's going somewhere. And so the coffee enema helps you to be able to release some of that toxic debris. And so it really is, it's been shown to be highly effective. In fact, Dr. Gonzalez talking about that he helped his patients to do that as well. But he said that it was in the Merck manual. Coffee enemas, wasn't it in the Merck manual?
Yeah, until the mid-1970s.
Yeah. So that was something that they did. Mainstream medicine, they did coffee enemas, knew the power of it. And all of a sudden, poof, it's gone.
It was listed in the Merck manual as the #1 best way to detoxify the liver was coffee enemas until the mid-1970s in the Merck manual. Mm-hmm. So it was mainstream until then. Now it's looked at as quackery. But, 40 years ago.
I guess Merck, they were quacks back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got out of their quackery.
Well, now they've got newer and better drugs you need to be using instead of something natural. So that's the problem.
So I guess it turns that into quackery when you have a better drug.
Yeah, better drugs.
Well, guys, I think we have. Is this a new question? Still, Vicki?
Oh, that's it.
So one more question, and then we are at the time limit.
And thank you so much, everyone, for hanging on with us for so long. We've got more people now than we started with, so that's awesome.
We're happy you're here, absolutely. And so let's see, benefits of, what was that?
We have another question or not?
Essiac tea. You know what? Let's address that. Amy is asking about what are the benefits of Essiac tea? Ty?
Well, yeah, Essiac tea is a treatment that is it's not necessarily quote a treatment, but it's a tonic, right? It comes in a bottle and you can drink it. I remember my grandma, Mama Helen, she used to make her own Essiac tea with all the different
with your
medicinal
mom.
herbs.
They make it together, put it in the amber bottles to protect
it from the light degradation. But it's, I'm trying to think the ingredients: sheep sorrel, turkey rhubarb. The original Essiac tea only had 4 ingredients: sheep sorrel, turkey rhubarb. I think there was wormwood in it, and there's one more. But it's a great blood purifier. So that was what it was originally used for. The name Essiac came from the nurse that was given this recipe from an Indian tribe in Canada, and her name was Renee Case, Caisse. And if you spell Case backwards, it's Essiac, and that's where the name Essiac tea came from. So in a game of trivia, you're going to win that question. So that's where Essiac tea came from. It's a great blood cleanser, but it's also been used very effectively as a cancer treatment. And I know that it works because we saw it work for Grandma Helen.
It did. Grandma Helen was using it. She, I think, didn't she have radiation? But then she had colon cancer. But then after that, she did Essiac tea, and the cancer just went away and stayed away. But it was only when she stopped making it, and it was when Dad died, and then Mom was unable to help her to make that. They got too busy, and her cancer came back. So it was gone for many, many years. But when she stopped making and taking that Essiac tea, that cancer came back, and that's how we lost her.
Yeah.
And she did have some of those conventional treatments, so she had a hard time keeping that immune system. She was really good at doing what she could. That Essiac tea was just a gift from God, but when she stopped taking it, that was it.
And you can get the Essiac formula now at a lot of the health food stores. You can get the herbs already packaged for you, and you can brew it yourself, or you can actually buy the bottles that have already been made. It's going to be cheaper to get the herbs.
I'm going to give you a little plug out here. Cancer Crackdown is one of the charities that we recommend. Tell them I said hi. Go visit their store, and when you do, that we 100% of whatever you spend there goes to that charity. They're fantastic, helping a lot of people. Tara Mann, a really good friend of ours, and Steve, her husband, are doing great things. But they have that kitten. In fact, they have the coffee enema. You asked about the coffee enema. They got a coffee enema kit. So they got the coffee, the kit, and everything. So go get that coffee enema kit from Tara. Tell her Ty Charlene said hello. And also get the Essiac tea. They've got all the herbs over there,
and we know that those herbs that they carry there
are the real deal.
The highest quality. They're organic herbs, and it's cancercrackdown.org.
Yeah, and Cancer Crackdown. They're on Facebook. Cancer Crackdown. Tara Mann. She's on Facebook. Follow her. She's fantastic. Cancer Crackdown. Check it out. They've got the coffee enemas, and they've got the Essiac, and so much more. So, check out their store, support them. And we are so glad that you're here supporting us. We're here to support you. We hope you enjoyed this webinar. We hope you learned a lot. We hope you laughed as much as I laughed. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, thanks for hanging with us. We had a good time. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. We look forward to doing it some more here soon.
Yes.
Very soon.
Absolutely. So stay tuned. We're coming at you really quick with another webinar with Ty and Charlene and the team. We've got the whole team behind us. We've got Peter with tech and Tracy, Des. Hi, Des. And Gia, she's our social media guru. Sarah Sass, she's our customer service. Bye.
See y'all.
Bye, everybody.